And Wisconsin, to me, is right in between in every way Illinois and Minnesota. It's an amazing place if you love canoes and bratwurst and cheese, which I do. It's the best state. The book starts out with some founding fathers who may or may not be Freemasons. I can't speak a lot about that in public. But one of them is Benjamin Franklin. Here's a little bit from his chapter. Benjamin Franklin was never president of our country, and yet his likeness adorns the most substantial denomination of our paper currency in circulation, the $100 bill. I find it appropriate, by the way, that George Washington graces both the $1 bill and the quarter, as they have been the most hardworking and honest forms of currency in my lifetime. Many of my earliest wages were paid in quarters, which worked out just fine since I turned right around and funneled them into Galaga and Joust video game machines, and then occasionally into washers and dryers at the laundromat. In college, there was a perfect storm of a laundromat that had washers, dryers, and Galaga, the allure of which kept me coming back with a frequency that kept my clothing smelling very pleasant indeed. Washington most likely would have approved of his likeness, representing simple, honest lucre, as he was comfortable with his reputation as the go-to guy for all your cash needs. But James Madison would most certainly not have liked the fact that he landed upon the $5,000 bill, which is no longer in circulation. The Mad Jam, as he was given to be referred to, was not given to the fancier things in life, nor was he one to seek the spotlight. So such a display of his visage, while understandable to us, would have undoubtedly caused him consternation. I go on to talk about Franklin's curiosity and his love of invention. He was fascinated with the physical and chemical world, and so he naturally invented things like flippers to help him swim better. He found himself in this burgeoning new society in Philadelphia. Originally from Boston, but in Philadelphia he established the U.S. Postal Service. No big deal. He started the first library in Philadelphia. He touted reading above all other diversions, which proved to be true of all these characters I chose. Many of them built wooden boats, or somehow had wooden boats in their lives, and they all were voracious readers. He was so devoted to reading as a pastime, he invented a reading chair equipped with a foot-powered fan as well as a handy ladder. So when the chair was flipped open, one could climb it to reach a book on a high shelf. The man invented bifocals. He greatly improved the science of burning wood to heat one's home by inventing the Franklin stove, which was exponentially more efficient than the popular open fireplaces of the day. And of course, he famously discovered electricity and thereby the electric battery. Without this man and his creativity, our dildos would remain silent and lifeless to this day. Now, as I have learned the hard way, accomplishing any achievement worth crediting in this life usually requires a few important missteps before one can discern the path to success. In my own case, naturally much less impressive than his, that means that I ruined a good deal of expensive white oak in joinery mistakes before finally succeeding in executing a respectable trestle table in the style of Gustav Stickler. If you were as profound and prolific an inventor as Benjamin Franklin, it only stood to reason that you would also invent some folly. My favorite example of this would have to be Franklin's air bath. This technique entailed sitting completely naked in a room with all its windows thrown open so that a person could bathe in the pure, fresh air. Before I too readily enjoyed a chuckle at the expense of this idea, I thought I'd better try it out for myself. While I did find the experience to be enervating and even slightly titillating, I couldn't in all honesty say that I felt any cleaner after 30 minutes of air bathing. I'm glad I tried it, although I can't say the same for the rest of the people at the coffee shop. Personal experience is the surest method by which one can determine the truth of a supposition, no matter how reputable the reporter, since so many experiences are subject to individual proclivities.